children actually born with sin? Are children born in
Right.
sin? Right? Because when you within, forget other, you just stay within Abrahamic religions, right? In Judaism, uh, I don't know for sure, but I think Judaism perceives original sin differently. Islam, they don't believe in original sin, right? They don't have the original sin. And and then when you go into Christianity, which has so many different doctrinations in Christianity, each one in Christianity sees original sin differently. Like Orthodox people
Yeah.
have a very different view of original sin. From what I understand, uh, it is um, when you baptized, you're washed of all original sin. That's why you do the full submerge, and then the original sin is gone. It's no longer on top of you, right?
Right.
And so you're clean of original sin, right? Catholics, though, they still believe in original sin. Protestants, especially like Calvinists and everybody else, they believe very hardly in original sin. So, but then that begs the question: is if original sin is actually true, then why did God create the original sin in the first place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you on that one, and that's yeah.
because how can a
That
baby?
is a whole. That is a whole other discussion. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's that is so subjective because it depends where you are in your faith spectrum, right?
well,
Not
absolutely.
religious spectrum, but your faith spectrum. Personally, um, if you were holding true to Abrahamic religion, then you were born in sin,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, well, hang on a second here. How can you be born in sin? Number one, when God has put man and woman together,
Mhm.
right, to create kids, to have kids, right? So you're saying the initial act of bringing man and woman together and having that interaction to have kids is sinful,
Yeah.
but
Well, that
yet God has blessed that, right?
yeah.
So that's one of my questions. And the other question is that Jesus loved kids,
Mhm.
you know and he even said, paraphrasing, that if everybody believed like these kids, then you're going to go to heaven. And it's like, well, if he had such affinity to kids, then why is it why again why is it that kids are born into sin? My belief is that we learn sin, we're
Oh,
taught sin.
I don't
you know
think, because that's saying God's creation. Because really, if you're Abrahamic religious, you're saying God created you, right? Because God created every hair in your head, right?
yeah,
Placed every hair in your head. So if God created you, that's saying God created you full of sin. So
yeah,
God's creation is not pure. So
yeah,
then that begs the question: why the heck would God create you so impure just to need Jesus to save you, or Joshua to save you from the impurity that God created Himself?
yeah, yeah.
It makes no
Well, of
sense.
course, yeah. Well, some people would argue that's why God created you in sin, so that you could be saved by Jesus and come closer to God. Kind of the circle argument,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
But why? But
And
then,
it's like,
but then
no,
God didn't create. Then God doesn't create purity. God
yeah,
creates evil.
yeah, right. And then you need to come and, yeah, exactly. Like it's, yeah. And those are questions. Again, it
No,
doesn't
I
it
don't.
doesn't
I'm not.
shake my faith,
Oh,
but
I'm not. I'm just. It's just questions, right? That's the whole
yeah,
point of this talk, is just to have a father-son talk, right? So,
yeah, I know,
and the other
right?
thing I listened to the other day, and it was so weird. It's um, so God didn't know that Adam and Eve were doing in the garden, right? Because He says, "Adam, where are you?" or "What have you done?"
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a direct contradiction to the omnipresent God. So God does not
yeah,
know everything. But here's the very interesting thing: is the original sin, by all accounts of Christianity and Abrahamic religions, is that you were in a quest for knowledge. Is the original sin.
Yeah, you're right.
So because you want to quest for knowledge and become more knowledgeable, God punishes you to eternal damnation.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one too. That's interesting, isn't it? That's and that's why I enjoy your talks when you talk about how religion evolved, how religious or religions evolved,
Mm.
because it starts to, in a sense, fill in that blank. When you talk about how Abrahamic religion was a byproduct of some earlier religions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the whole idea that Jesus was Joshua and
Mm.
and he was a priest. You
Yeah.
know, uh, which goes along with the whole current thinking that he was ahead of his order and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of questions that, and of course, what they would say is that, well, we have to then just rely on our faith,
Mm.
accept what it
Well,
is in there.
that's the common answer to anything whenever you ask a Christian about the Bible, right?
Yeah,
And it's, oh well, it was in eternal or heavenly divination about why the Bible is the way it is.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
again, you're going against the Bible and contradict the Bible in Revelations, where it says you cannot change a letter of this book.
yeah.
So,
But they do, right?
but they
Yeah,
change it. So it's
yeah,
like I don't. So that's a hard thing, right? And it's hard to argue when someone says, "Oh, it's just the faith. You got to have faith, right? I have faith in this." It's fair. Let them have faith. I'm not trying to put anybody's religious values down, right? But it's just there's so many questions to it that don't make sense when you look at it from a naturalistic and historical viewpoint.
yeah. Well, and I think those questions strengthen your faith as well, too, right?
If you,
You know what I
yeah, I think asking
mean?
questions is good. I think it's a way to
Yeah.
find truth. You know.
Well, it is. It's a way to find truth, but it's also a way to strengthen your faith too, right? I mean, it's like you and I've talked about before. I still have this sense, and it could change, right? But I still have this sense that the universe has this fabric of good and evil, right?
Mm.
And I know we've talked about life and the world and space. That is just what it is. But I still have this sense that there is a fabric of good and evil,
Mm.
and we or me, I just happen to call good God,
Mm. Mm.
you know, and there is evil out there. Is it the devil? I don't know. Is there a place where the devil is? I really don't know. Um, but and of course, you have a different added or look at that as well too. But the point being is that what we do is we strengthen our faith,
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
know, in those things too. And yeah, so it's good to ask those questions, and people don't. They just they and I think sometimes religious leaders feel offended, when you ask questions like that,
Well, you know what? You
and
know what's it's.
instead of having a discussion with their parishioners,
Mhm.
they just say, "Nope, this is what the Bible says," and it's blasphemy to think different. Well, no, let's have a discussion because this is what the world is about these days, right?
Yeah, well, it's
Having that
always
free
been. It always has
Yeah,
been that way, right? And I find it almost interesting that when you ask, not even like trying to change someone's mind or do anything like that, when you're just having a simple question with Christians, especially like the Southern Baptist Christian kinds, um, the they feel like it's their duty to make sure your soul doesn't end up in damnation,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
no, it's like why, right? Because
Yeah,
here's an interesting point too, right? When you look at the history and look at cultures, the only religion that has eternal damnation is not even the entire Abrahamic religion. It's only Christianity and Islam that have eternal damnation if you don't have faith.
Right.
Almost every single religion out there, really, almost every single religion out there believes in reincarnation. Like literally almost every
Yeah.
single one, except for Christianity and Islam. So then here begs the question: how many people are doing this out of the true love of God or the true finding of faith, and how many people are doing this because they just don't want eternal damnation? They're scared of the eternal
Right.
damnation.
Right. Yeah.
And then that begs the question: is one right and one wrong? Right? By doing out of true love, is that how you avoid eternal damnation, or is it okay to do it just because you're scared?
Yeah. Well, that's just it too. There's another question time. I've always questioned the Bible where it talks about, fear the Lord, right? It's like, why should we fear the Lord? He's on our side.
Yeah.
He wants us to be saved. He wants us to be good. He wants us to have faith. Yeah. So why should I fear the Lord?
Well, because he does commit genocide.
No, I know. But that's the bully. But that's the bully thing, right?
Yeah.
So are we saying the if we fear the Lord, are we saying the Lord's a bully? Think about this. I mean, why should Big John, who's the bully on the playground, people stay away from. They fear him, and if he says this is what I want you to do, you typically do it, right? Because why? You might punch your lights out. So we fear Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, do we fear the Lord because if we don't do something, he's going to purposely hurt us? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
That whole statement, right?
Yeah, no. If I had to look at history, I would say he is a bully historically looking at it. And I'm not saying him personally, but him and his practices, right?
Yeah.
Because in the Old Testament, he just wipes out places like no tomorrow. Just gone, evaporated off the map, right? No problems, blink of the eye. And then if you track that through all of history, it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. And even into the witch hunts. Right?
Yeah.
And those witch hunts lasted hundreds of years of them burning people at a stake because you didn't believe in the God, so you deserve to go and burn in hell for all of damnation, for all of eternity, right? Which then, to me, is a bullying factor of, okay, we're converting you and we're going to force you, which is the bully thing. Oh, we're scared. I don't want to be burned at the stake.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, I'm a Catholic.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't want to be damned in eternal damnation, so I'm going to believe.
Yeah.
Right? But and it's like we talked about the other day, right? When you look at the original parts of the Bible, Jesus never mentions hell. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
You go to a valley that's just close to Jerusalem, and you're there for all eternity in the hot sun. It doesn't talk about eternal damnation until like Jesus himself, right? The eternal damnation does come in later on, but remember those later parts of the Bible were written after heavy mixture of the Gentiles and more importantly Greek paganism, right? Greek paganism and Canaanite paganism. No, Canaanite paganism influenced Canaanite and Sumerian and Assyrian and all that influenced the Old Testament, and then Greek and Roman paganism influenced the New Testament.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but during the actual closest written times of Jesus, there's no mention of hell, of burning for all of damnation. It just talks about being saved.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't say you're going to go to the underworld and burn. He does say that you'll go to some valley, I forget the name of it, but some valley that is an actual geographical location by Jerusalem, and you'll be out there in the hot sun all day kind of thing. For all of eternity. But I hear you. In hell.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is like later on in life you see that burning in hell.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nick said it, they're influenced by the common culture at the time, right?
Yeah.
And you mix things, right? Yeah. No, I agree with you there. And that's, so but it's getting back, it's not bad to ask those questions.
No.
And I agree with you. Like when you get Southern Baptists, and I'm not saying all Southern Baptists are wrong.
No, of course not.
It's their belief, it's their culture to save you. We have them up here. We have Christians up here that and
So,
and
well,
the
what's the
Bible
one that knocked
directs.
on the door? What's the one that knocked
Yeah,
on the door?
yeah, but the Bible directs people to do that. Like
Well,
that's what the
but
Bible
but
does.
here's the thing. That verse that people hold on to that says go out and tell the world and prophetize and all that stuff. That wasn't written in the original manuscripts.
Yeah, I know. Remember you saying that, right? Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
not
that
written in the
was
original
injected.
manuscript.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on that so we can have more discussion on that one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty cool.
it's one
Yeah,
of those things where it's like, and it's like I told you the other day too. It's most pagan religions don't proselytize. I can't say that word, but go and
prophetize.
no, not prophetize, where you go and you forcefully convert people. Most
Right.
pagan religions
Yeah.
don't do that. The Romans kind of did, but it wasn't so much. I don't think it was so much the religious base. I think it was just they're an empire, and so if they seen some wildly group of religious people that are getting out of hand, right, then they needed to squash them, right? Because
Yeah.
because people talk about this, but look at the Celtic pagans, right? They got squashed by the Romans, right? We
Yeah.
always talk about Christians being oppressed by the Romans, but heck, when the Romans conquered Gaul and then England, those Celtic pagans were squashed for their beliefs, even though they're pretty much a similar belief.
Yeah.
And it
You're right.
wasn't the Romans going in there saying you have to believe in Jupiter. It was more so, this is my land. You have to listen to our laws, and their
Yeah.
laws are grounded in their faith, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.